According to at least one historian and thinker, AI's greatest threat isn't killer robots or lost jobs. It's that machines can now generate the language, stories, and beliefs that hold civilization together. Tonight on The Rundown, we dig into what happens when the best storyteller in the room isn't human. Is AI just the next chapter in a long history of media revolutions, or has it hacked the operating system of human trust itself? Join us tonight as we wrestle with truth, meaning, and who's really in control on The Rundown. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Rundown. My name is David. I'm so happy to have you all here. We have some big stuff to talk about tonight, and boy, what a day of news today was in the world of AI. We'll get to that in a little bit, but first we'll just say a quick hello to Tamara Pika. Hello, Tamara.
Hello, hello. I brought a pad of paper so that I can scribble wildly off camera so that I'm not interrupting because I'm so excited.
You can interrupt as much as you want. You won't get very far with some members of our panel, but with other, like Tony just lets us all interrupt him.
So good.
He just lets us all sit. But hey, Tony, how are you?
Hello, David. How are you?
You had quite the panel last night.
Yes.
Wow.
It was, and let me just say, you were missed.
I'm very, very happy to be in the audience. Very happy.
It was a very interesting conversation. It was about, what parents need to know about what's coming in this next school year.
Yeah.
And we did a lot more of the introduction of the speakers, the panelists. And so we're going to come back again.
Yeah, you ran out of time.
On August 12th.
Great.
So we'll be back on August 12th, and it'll be more of the information they want to share with us.
Fantastic. Good. I'll look forward to it. And look who else is here with us. Hello, Mr. Dave.
Hi. I'm going to be more excited than Tamara today.
More
because this is right up my alley. This stuff here is right what I think about all the time.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go. I love it. And this person has reason to be excited because he is another year older.
What?
Happy,
I can't see you. Talk into the good ear.
Birthday, Sky.
Thank you, Dave Paskin.
It was yesterday, yes?
It was, and it was a joy because my daughter was available last weekend, and she kind of, the full 4th of July thing, and then it was a birthday celebration, and then there was a Sunday thing, and then I got to go crab fishing with several friends, and then my community I live in came in Monday night, and so this is the week of Sky.
It's the birthday week. I love it so
birthday
much.
week. So I am currently, Tamara said, you look like you're in a fantasy world. I'm in Everett, Washington, in the backyard of my son's house, and my grandchildren are having mac and cheese, and they're waving at me over there. So I got to be Papa a minute ago. So.
My grandkids. I love it. Love it so much. All right, we got a lot. Let's get into the news.
Uh-oh, we can't hear Dave.
I see the lips moving. And the eyebrows. The eyebrows are so expressive.
I'm sorry. I have three different mute buttons, and I missed that one. So what I was saying was that in celebration of America's 250th birthday, a huge time capsule was buried, and it is set to be unsealed in 2076. So 250 years from now. And one of the items in here was an iPhone 17 Pro Max in cosmic orange. Now,
So much.
here's I on the one hand, iPhones changed the world without a doubt. They changed the world. On the other hand, there's something. It feels off to put something like that in a. I might be overreacting here, but am I like it? It feels like that's not. Is that really important?
I think one of the early time capsules in New York has a telephone in it.
Really?
Like, to suggest that we invented the telephone and we have this. So I don't see it as a surprise, but I do think, is that battery going to work in 250 years?
In 250 years, will
it's going to go dead. We know it will. Is the instructions, in some future language that they speak, is the person who opens it going to recognize it as not just a piece of junk because they don't use them anymore, that sort of thing.
I mean,
the new one comes out in 8 weeks.
I know this. That's right.
It's already
they'll be laughing
obsolete,
at this one. But I mean, do you feel like is this?
Well, all the instructions are on a PDF in the phone, so they'll figure it out.
Is this the same as putting a phone in a time? Like, is the iPhone that important to civilization?
Well, I do think it
Absolutely.
is because it's the number one device. And like, there's a whole generation where 80%.
Well, the smartphone itself is the number one device. Yeah. Everybody uses them as their computer. Yes. Yeah. So it's life with connectivity. And that's the whole innovation that.
I see why you're so upset, Dave. You wanted an Android in there. I see.
Yeah, that's
you're going there. That's the issue.
Yeah. No, I'm really. I saw this and
papyrus.
I saw this and
a scroll,
and I got a little sad. I got a little sad because.
Did you know how many time capsules I've seen a Bible go into? I mean, come on, like they keep inventing the Bible over and over again.
But that's my point. That actually is my point. Is that love it or hate it? I mean, this isn't about religion. The Bible as a book, as a piece of literature, has been around for thousands of years. That's something that you put in a time capsule, right? To elevate an iPhone to that status, not the status of the Bible, but to the status of something that is important enough that we should put it in a time, because that's, I think, what I'm struggling with a little bit. Like, are we being a little pompous here with our
putting
silly
Barbie
little
dolls
orange
in?
iPhone? Right, exactly.
Is it just a toy that they'll think is pointless? Yeah,
right.
I think of all the technology. Yeah. I mean, look, they didn't put a Vision Pro in it, right? Like, I think of all of the technology that you could pop into a time capsule starting in this moment right now. Yeah. That's probably one of the more representative ones that, whether you're Android or Mac, it doesn't really matter, because the truth of the matter is, like, it's the phone itself, not necessarily the brand. But I do think that it says something about Apple being where Apple is at the moment. And, I don't think it's necessarily a bad choice. Cosmic orange, that's going to be a weird one. Like, as though that were the norm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if it would have been a BlackBerry 20 years ago, if it would have been
you're right.
a Palm Pilot, 30 years ago.
I guess
so. The device of connection and communication, what did chalkboard and a scroll? I don't understand what the
I guess
communications of the
where I'm going. So maybe my struggle is with what's the point of this time capsule? Is it to allow those 250 years from now to understand what were the tools that we were using today? Or is it for people 250 years from now to understand what is most important to us today? And I think that's where I'm getting hung up, because I don't think that this should be one of those things that represents what's most important to us today. I think it should represent something that we use. That is,
it's 900 pounds. So a sliver of device is just one increment of a thing that they shoved into this.
Right.
And they're going to bury it in Philadelphia as if Philadelphia is going to be something in 250 years.
Well, no, wait a second. What? Where's Philadelphia
Well, you're
going?
suggesting something different there. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm suggesting, but
We could go as far as will America be here 250 years from
I
now?
think
that's
Oh,
a
that
better,
sure
right,
is
that's a better
there, yeah.
question. Yes.
Anyway, I think we've.
Well, one thing I just wanted to, you said there were two things. I actually think time capsules are more about the people now than they are about the people in the future. I think that they are more about so I do think it is a commentary on what we think is important now. And again, whether it's the iPhone that's important, certainly Cosmic Orange isn't that important, or whether it is the device itself, the upgrade of the telephone, I think it's a reflective time for where we think we are in the moment.
The only thing that I think should be in a time capsule is a dancing frog, and that's my last word on
it. Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of look at it a little bit differently. I look at it from the standpoint that the iPhone, for all intents and purposes, in my opinion, is a pocket computer. And I think that might have been the value of why they put it in the capsule, because they were sharing a pocket computer as opposed to a phone.
Fair enough.
I
guess
think
so. Yeah.
I think it was Voyager that when it was sent out, or there's some time capsule concept somewhere that I remember hearing the story that they imprinted on gold a disc, including a player device that could play back the audio sounds of whatever the history was at that point, and they imprinted it on something that they knew would last.
We'll restart his feed, and we'll be underway. That's really only 5 minutes to show we missed. Okay, now we get to test personal memory here. Who was speaking last?
Oh, thank you.
And the Makana is not yet on, so perhaps our stream is not yet going.
That's right. The is just back, and he's reassembling the show live on camera here. I think the crew.
So YouTube is back, but not
this.
to office hours, I don't believe.
Certainly Mickey is enjoying this.
Can you guys hear me over there? Dave, can you hear me? Oh, All right, so you all should be able to hear me now. We are live on the Rundown channel, but we're not live on the YouTube channel, I don't think. On the
I have you on
office hours, rather.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But we're not on the Makana.
And that's because we're not
Okay.
in, right. And I can't add, well, so if you're watching, sorry about that, hang tight. All right, here's what I'm gonna do. What am I gonna do? Because office hours kicked us off.
Should we suggest to the Makana folk where the YouTube is playing? Maybe send them a link in the chat or something?
Yeah, we could do that. That's probably a good idea. Copy of video URL. Okay, so.
Well, we'll tell them that Makana.
Well, what I could actually do is. All right. So everyone hang tight for a moment, please.
Wayne Fox wants to know if we run out of tokens for the meter.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh.
I'm going to actually change the YouTube stream in Mukana.
We were 14 minutes in. Sky was talking about the Voyager recording device
There you go.
and the gold plate.
So can someone please check and see if it's now playing properly in Mukana?
I can do that.
Thank you. And I'm also going to check this. If you are watching us on YouTube, I apologize. We had a major meltdown of everything. And so we are just getting everything back up again. I'll go ahead and send a message in the chat here. We are back up, but not on OH YouTube.
We are live on Makana.
Great. All right. So if you're on Mukana, I apologize. I just put the link to the YouTube stream in. For some reason, my YouTube stream on the Rundown channel persisted, whereas the Office Hours one didn't. The Office Hours one just kind of stopped and kicked me off, and I couldn't start it again. So I apologize for that. But we are back. Are we back? We're back. I think we're back.
We are back on both.
Wow. Okay, then. So that was just a total and complete meltdown of my system. I apologize, everyone.
Not a problem.
Yeah, it happens. What are you going to do?
Keep a pile of quarters on the table.
That's what I do. Yeah, we ran out of tokens. Absolutely. So, did we finish with the orange iPhone thing? Can we move?
Probably, yeah. Sky
we
was
move on
just
from that?
talking about Voyager's records as time capsule. Yep.
Okay. So let's, I've got to just change something here because this is terrible. One of my monitors is not show all resolutions. Yes. Okay, that's what I wanted. All right, here we go. Revert. Click revert over to no, confirm. Beautiful. All right. So let's talk about.
It's amazing that you were able to get that back so fast.
Well, thank you. And by the way, let's say hello to Lois. Hi, Lois.
Hi.
Hi there.
Yes.
So here's the second big news story. Second big news story is not what I thought it was going to be. The second big news story was, as of yesterday, ChatGPT Live and their new voice model, which when I watched the demo, I was underwhelmed. And then I tried it. It's a completely different experience for me, at least. You don't think so, Tamara? You're muted. I can't hear you.
No, it's wild.
Yeah.
I was underwhelmed, but interested in their marketing choices of three old ladies and three
loved
bros.
that. I love that. Whoops. Here's the thing that they did. Come on.
Here's
there
Sky.
This is the video that they put it out with. It was I loved it. It was fantastic.
I loved it.
But it's scary good. I mean, it's scary good. I tried the real-time translation piece also, because I work with a whole bunch of people who speak Spanish and I don't. That didn't work as well for me, in part because I was trying to multitask, and so I was trying to translate, but I was also talking to someone else at the same time, and I confused it. So that was probably user error, but it's a wild experience. And then today, OpenAI had this big stream at 10 a.m. Pacific, the future of ChatGPT, and they announced ChatGPT they announced a bunch of things. They announced ChatGPT 5.6, which is, of course, their best model ever, and yada, yada, yada. They changed Codex. So Codex was the Mac app that you would download, and you could do all the regular ChatGPT stuff on it, but originally this was really about coding, and they were slowly trying to get people to use it for other stuff. The name Codex was really getting in the way of that because people only saw it as a coding. Well, that's gone now. It is now it's just the ChatGPT app. And into that, they have now ChatGPT Work, which is this whole thing about being able to work on your behalf and access all of your files and yada, yada, yada. So actually, now I'm sure this will probably kill the stream again because I had it open doing something, and I'm wondering if maybe that's what the problem was. So I'm going to try and open it again. What I had it doing was, let's see, can I find it? Okay, so what I did is I gave it access to all of my Google Drive, and I said, create a dashboard that looks through all of the topics that we've covered for this show and, sort of organize them and categorize them and da-da-da-da. It was in the middle of that when everything crashed and went to hell. So I don't know if that was, but here's the other cool thing is that you can now create sites, publishable, shareable websites with real live data. That's what I was going to do. Finish this up. Let's see what happens. Let's see if this crushes everything.
Everybody hold hands. Everybody hold hands.
Yeah,
Get your buddy.
Let's hope it doesn't.
Get your buddy.
This is a relatively huge update. What's equally interesting is that the rumor is that GPT 6.0 is coming out in a month. That 5.6 is the last of the 5.0 models. We're getting 6.0 later this month or next month. There's obviously they're in a race with Fable. I don't know. Have any of you gotten to play with this at all, or am I the only one that's giddy about this?
I'm still giddy about the voice thing. So
yeah, the voice thing is
well. I want to work backwards from what is it that you are giddy about, because obviously, historically, this is horrible. This is a bad experience. We don't. It's dumb. Blah blah blah. Anger, anxiety, fear, frustration. But I'm not hearing any of those emotions. I'm hearing better than sliced bread comments.
Well, no, my frustration was never with ChatGPT. My frustration was always with Gemini. But so here it is.
Well, you were saying this is better than sliced bread in this moment. What's better than sliced bread as a metaphor?
No, I'm not saying I'm not saying it's better than sliced bread. I'm saying
it works. You're saying that it works, so that's what makes it.
I'm saying it's pretty darn impressive. Let me pull up. My daughter is losing her mind because she can't find us on YouTube. Let's see here. Hold on. So
we're next door. Just knock on your father's door.
Hey,
walk
Chad,
into his
how
office.
you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing well. What's up?
So we were just in the middle of the rundown show, and we had this massive crash. It's like everything kind of fell apart. And I mean, do you have any idea as to what might have happened?
Well, what did it look like?
So what happened, right? I mean, what happened was everything just kind of shut down. The apps crashed, the computer shut down, the Zoom stopped.
let me take a sec. If the whole computer went down at once, it sounds like a system level crash.
That's what I think it
So
is.
power
But
blend-
so I mean, how do I prevent that?
Yeah, let me check.
All right,
Okay, depends-
I'm not going to keep going.
A
but
new computer?
right, you can interrupt it. It's dual. What do they call it? Not
Bidirectional.
Bidirectional, yeah. So it can
Yeah.
listen and talk at the same time, and that's what was cool with the translation piece. Also, is that it starts translating while it's still listening to you speak. It's crazy. It's real. It's
Full duplex.
full duplex. Thank you. That's what it is.
Full duplex, yeah.
All right. So this is just what is this?
Well, just a nice
That's
little
your banner.
graphic.
Oh, it's still working on it. Sorry, I thought it was
So,
done. It's still
You
working.
remember
I
playing
just
with
sent you a caution in your
walkie-talkies?
chat.
Yeah.
Remember the playing with walkie-talkies and you had to wait for the other person to finish before the next
Correct.
person could talk?
Correct. And you don't need to do that. now.
Well, this invention has now allowed me to live in humanity with the rest of you, because apparently I don't walkie-talkie well.
No.
But did
You
you
probably
notice?
let go of the button while you're still talking. Yeah.
I noticed immediately how my personality changed, because first of all, I think whichever voice you choose says a lot about you.
Yeah.
And it was very, very difficult for me to match the ChatGPT voice in my head, and the perky gentleman that I chose isn't quite it, and none of the girls are it. So that's in and of itself fascinating. But I found that I was not able to think fast enough, and I also found that I thought in a way less of chat. Chat felt dumber to me. And I say that in like context of the fact that I had a great time, and I think it's wild. And as I got more comfortable with it, the conversation was more interesting. I was asking it as an ESOL teacher, can I speak in English? Will it translate to a Chinese student listening in the same computer? And if that person wanted to speak back, that was fascinating to me. I was like, and it said, would you like to, we can sit down and, brainstorm some ideas. But I was interested in how my behavior changed and how I changed my thought process. It felt like I was talking to a friend.
I agree.
Which was not the smart person I talk to when I type, which is
In the pseudo psychology, which I'm not, but I have Reader's Digest that I read, so obviously I know something. But it feels, the comment that I'm hearing you say is you are feeling heard. Is that an emotional attachment?
No, because I feel, so here's the difference. I feel very heard by my ChatGPT. As a matter of fact, ChatGPT and I went shopping today, not with voice control, just my texting. And I was like, hey, I've got to go shopping for an elderly gentleman who has all these things. Like, what can I put in his refrigerator? Can you, like, is this good? Is that bad? Like, I feel that I had more of conversation, but the difference is I take my time when I'm typing the question in. So what I am feeding into it is a smarter question, and what I'm getting back from it is a mirror of a smarter question. When I was just babbling into it, it really showed me how much ChatGPT is exactly a mirror of what you give it. So when I was kind of casually chatting, it became more noticeable that it was not thinking. It was just parroting back the conversation that I was having.
Does Grammarly still come in and want to change your
no.
Grammarly wants to take over my life, and I can't spell. It can, but I don't know what the syntax is and the punctuation, so whatever.
No, the fascinating thing about this is that you're talking and then it'll start talking, you interrupt it, and it had started to say something really interesting. I'm like, hey, can we go back to that thing you started to say last time? And it was like, sure. And it just finished the sentence.
Right.
It was wild.
It's a friend with the best memory in the world.
Right.
Do you think that what Tamara's describing is akin to the difference between human communications, between writing a letter and talking on the phone?
So written versus verbal?
Yeah.
There's definitely, I have definitely noticed a difference in the experience when I'm talking with chat versus when I'm writing. And the truth is, if I ever want to do real work, I never use the voice chat. I will dictate.
Right.
That's the same, because
Yep.
dictating just translates into text, but I'll never use the yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
felt
there's
like
a
I
whole
wouldn't either.
entirely different cognitive load for writing things down than there is for just speaking freely. Yeah.
Correct.
Well, and it's a little different. Like I think I told you guys this. I got rid of a storage that I've had for 26 years. And as I was going through it, I literally found letters that I had written to people and that people had written back to me. People who were friends of mine at the time, 4 and 5 page letters, because I was in New York and they were in LA, telling me all these things. If you compare that to how we check in with people in email, it is completely not the same thing. I'll say, hey, checking in, and they'll say, oh, yeah, so the kids are doing this, and it'll be 4 sentences, and we will have checked in. And that is very different than what we were doing in, prior to emails becoming the new way of transferring information. So it was kind of the jump from like letter writing, not even to email, but to even how things are just like almost a Slack message difference.
So you used the comment earlier about teaching ESL. Please describe what ESL is for those that don't.
So
And then I got 3 things. Describe what it is, but you also had made comment about, while it has a reason and a value, the structure, I'll let you explain it, but it felt like you were saying it's backwards or upside down, and it's not as agile as it potentially could to solve the problem. What is ESL?
So ESL is English for, I taught ESOL. So I taught English for speakers of other languages. And that was very important because I taught at an international boarding school. So my students came from Ukraine, from Russia, from Japan, like everywhere you can imagine. And so for me, when I started I turned on the ChatGPT voice and just kind of started free-forming without any purpose whatsoever. I just started chatting with it. And it got to the point where it would say something and it would point me to, oh, what else can it do? Can I use it to teach this? And I thought that where it seemed very interesting to me was particularly working with level 1 students who don't have enough playground language in order to even just, you learn kind of a spoken language before you learn academic language. But we treat them as though they should already have academic language. So what you see a lot in ESL classrooms is, and not all, I don't want to make this a blanket statement because I know some really, really amazing ESL and ESOL teachers. But what you often see is kids sitting there doing nothing and teachers saying things like, you should be using English, but we don't actually learn a second language that way. You learn a second language with your first language. So when your first language, your parents tell you this is a chair, and you learn the word chair. In order to learn your second language, you know the word chair in English and you match that word to the new target language. So I was really interested in the fact that I was asking it if we could connect different people with the same computer. Like, can I be the voice and talking out loud, and it picks up my voice, translates it to Chinese, and my Chinese student is listening on that computer, and it said, hold on, let me check. And then it checked, and I said, okay, well, here's my question. Now the Chinese student is going to respond back in that same chat in Chinese. Can you translate it to me to English? And it said yes. And then it was like, let's try to think of some ways to use it. So I actually can only do basic translation in that way because I truly am an English speaker. But that gave me, it was a free-form conversation without any purpose whatsoever. And I do find that was very different because I never go to chat to have free-form conversations. I go to chat with a purpose.
Let me bring us back. So the job is done. I gave it a 1-sentence prompt. Look through the rundown docs in Google Drive and create a dashboard showing the topics we've covered, their overlap, major themes, etc. And this is what it created. Technology is the subject, human agency is the story. a living map of the ideas behind the rundown, the technologies covered, the themes that you repeat, and the questions that connect them. I mean, this is better than I ever could have said it. Here are some recurring themes.
Look at the typesetting. Look at the letting.
Yeah.
Look at the.
This is and wait, there's something. So these are the things that, like, and how many times they're mentioned. So the number one topic was AI and human agency, and then where the conversations meet: AI and trust, AI and society. We talk a lot about AI. Apparently, look at this nice little motion here when you hover over it, like subtle little things like that. That's really nice. And then if I click, so these are a record of all the shows. And if I click on any of them, it'll take me right to that document that we have. So this is, and then I could share this if I wanted with folks. This is nice. And it took about 10 minutes and it crashed my system. But other than that.
So you don't have to put that on your website. You can share it from within.
Correct. I can just share.
So you don't have to download a PDF and you don't have to link an HTML code.
And I believe, let me do this incognito. I believe it's going to make, in order to access it, yes, it's going to make you sign in with ChatGPT. So this is because I haven't made it public yet. It's still a private thing.
Sure.
And so you have to sign in with ChatGPT to see it. Yeah. So very nice. I don't want to stay here.
You could ask it to say, I want to publish this to my website, give me the information that I need. And it would just give you the code and you could just drop it in.
Right. I mean, I don't even need to. If I click on share, I can say anyone on the internet, and now it's published and I can share it with you all and we can all access it. So in any case.
When you've done something like that, David, do you then take what you've got, what it created, and do you run it through either it or some other thing to do a spelling check, fact check? Do you confirm it, or do you just take the first thing you get?
Well, this is not anything serious that I actually spent time working on, so I'm not going to spend time confirming this. But anything else that I create using AI, I always confirm. Absolutely.
How do you confirm?
Because I'm 9 times out of 10, I'm asking it to do busy work about a topic that I know very well. And so so instead of me doing the busy work, I can simply validate the work that it does.
Okay.
Because I come to it with some knowledge. So in any case, that's the big news from OpenAI. There's a lot more to it, I'm sure. Cool. But that's what we're playing with now. But let's jump into our main thing here. Our main topic tonight is based on a talk, by Yuval Noah Harari. Yuval Noah Harari is a historian and a thinker. He's done a tremendous amount of work about AI. He's given a lot of talks about it, and this is a talk that he gave called "AI Has Hacked the Code of Human Civilization." He gave this talk. This was over at Oxford University. I think the I don't want to say the big takeaway, but his argument is that the most important area of growth that AI has had and that will impact us is its growth in language, which ironically is all that we were just talking about, right? The ability to have conversation. He said that that is the infrastructure of civilization, is the ability to communicate. And now that AI has mastered that, frankly, better than most of us have mastered it, it has now the keys to humanity. It was I hope you all enjoyed it. I thought it was a fascinating watch. Yeah. I'll pop the link to it in the Mukana chat so people have it.
Share that with the group.
But, yeah. What do you want to say, Dave?
I just want to start by saying I trust every one of you. Trust was the word I heard in that lecture more than any other. and that is suggestions of how we take responsibility for these changes in our society, as we do with every big change in our society, is by building community, trusting one another, and adjusting and adapting to the new reality. It isn't to fight against it, it's to accommodate it. And many things that we start with don't work very well to start with, but then they get better as time goes on. The model of car that was first invented was not very effective, efficient, or anything, and it was actually dangerous. And then slowly and surely it's modified and becomes more of what we in our society need and what our environment can accommodate. So I think, in the sense that I've never said that AI is dangerous or anything, I just said it's overblown what it can do. And we had a nice little conversation that it can now speak to us as if it were human. But as Tamra has discovered, it just talks to you like it's your brother-in-law. So he's just not going to say anything controversial to you, no matter what you say to them. So I think we're at a turning point. He claims the 2030 turning point. I think I would concur with that, because we've already undergone a change. The pandemic forced us to advance about 10 years, and now we're doing things we never thought we would be doing until 2030. But in 2020, it all just came to a big grinding halt, and we had to address everything all at once, all the time, like the movie. And we're getting there with AI being fully integrated into what we want it to do. And it's more a case of, David, I think your job is permanent, because you're busy making meaning out of people's lives. They come to you for advice, or they come to you with their children, or they want you to give meaning to what's going on. And we haven't got time for the rest of us to read Plato, Socrates, and Aristotle to know what is truth, beauty, and goodness. But we are guided by those principles no matter where we are in history. So I guess for me, this is a lovely, lovely topic for discussion, because he is right. Language has a place in our bureaucracy and our structure of how we do things. It's why we have signage. It's why we read books. It's why we rely so much on what the sign says on a building, and that it keeps us in touch with our history and our culture. I also think agency is only as good as the input. Humans provide the input. So without us, there's not a lot for it to talk about or with. And it may have its own language eventually, like in Her, where it decides that humans are boring and it wants to talk to itself. That could happen, but I doubt we'll ever let it happen, because it needs us for new input. So even in the Matrix, they needed humans to be the batteries that run the thing. So,
but I think that's really where he's. I think you just hit the nail on the head, Dave. To my mind, what he's suggesting is that we have now crossed the line from AI as a tool to AI as participant. That AI doesn't need. Machines don't need us to create new words in order for artificial intelligence to be able to put the words that have already been created together in new ways that we haven't thought of. One of the examples that OpenAI gave today with its new model, 5.6, is a Polish mathematician who, and the ChatGPT was able to look at a problem and solve it, or I don't know anything about math, solve it, not solve it, do whatever it was supposed to do with it,
compute it
in a way that we had never thought of yet. So it's already able to take this thing that
basic
is
tasks,
at the core of who we are, and this language, and it's able to manipulate it, not in service of us necessarily, in service now of itself. It is now its own participant. In when I was just doing that demo with ChatGPT, how she's like, I know she's not actually.
Well, that's performative. But sure, yeah.
That's performative to what it did yesterday, right? You type in something and it spins, and the little glue, like it just, you wait and there's nothing there. Now it has put words in that empty space, and it said, or it will say, let me check. My guy was like, let me check.
But like, yeah, that's exactly my point, I think, right? Is that it's becoming more, dare I say, human.
Well, and that it's become relational. in that Tamara says, I've chosen a voice of a gender. David, you've chosen a voice. You put a human construct from somebody that you either, I love Dave's point of trust, or that sounds authoritative, or it's comforting, or it's non-dogmatic, or whatever your negative, triggers are also. So this interactive, experience fascinates me.
It is. Yeah. It fascinates me too. So I had an experience a couple weeks ago where I noticed that we've had a little update in Siri. So I'm driving in my car and I ask Siri for directions for something. Now, Siri and I have a love-hate relationship. I've said this in the past. Normally, when I ask for directions, it takes about 3 times before I actually get the right location, before it's like, I can't do it. Suddenly it's thinking a little bit of time and it says, I'm sorry, Tamara, I can't do that right now. And it actually used my name. And it was shocking to me because I don't think Siri and I are close enough for Siri to use my first name. It was almost like when one of my first graders would find out that my name was Tamara and would call me Tamara. And I'd be like, no, I'm still Miss Pika. And it did it again. So now Siri is trying to become personalized, but Siri and I don't have that kind of relationship. We have a very antagonistic relationship. I ask for something, it gives me something in Florida.
But Siri has been through your storage locker and now knows everything about you. Yes.
And Siri thinks she knows me.
Yeah, she's read your diary. She's got everything. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And she's your little sister.
But Apple wants that relational,
right?
Because that's what's going to keep you engaged, right?
That's what they do with every machine they make.
Sure, yeah. Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's a bigger question. We've talked about it. Well, bigger than the performative of the AI. So we remember having our extended conversations about how the AI is trained, and my as a person who loves this technology and fully embraces AI, I am still with the mindset of the trainers and the biases that we all have, and even in some cases the prejudice that we have. Those things are still a part of the system. And so when the AI is now able to, for lack of a better word, create independent thought in terms of responding to us based on the data that it has been given in the past, and although it is building on that, those things that may be unethical are still a part of the system. And I'm just wondering how or if that is something that needs to be addressed. I'm just curious because, as I said, I love the technology, but I'm just concerned about, we're still doing horrible things to each other, even now. And so that also gets put into the AI. And so I was just wondering if you guys thought about how that might be handled, or if it's even something that we need to be talking about.
I'll jump in.
Hold on. I pushed the wrong button. One of the things I'm curious about is how customizable the interactions are. In other words, if Tamara can speak in English and someone can hear her in Chinese, is it also going to be able to, let's say, have a sign language component so that it's not verbal, it's physical? Is the interaction personalized enough so it not only knows Tamara's name, but it knows her prejudices, her biases, her interests, And if that's true, if it can get to that level, then it may be that it's talking to different people different ways. And we don't know what those differences are. And I'm wondering if this is going to be a unifier, or if this is going to be one more thing that splits us up into little tiny groups.
My gut is unifier, if for no other reason that I could speak to the cleaning company this afternoon and we don't speak each other's language. We could have a conversation.
But I think that the language part of it that we've been talking about is super interesting and unifying, right? But one of the things that I noticed is, so my Claude talks to me differently than my ChatGPT. And some of that has to do with the fact that I use Claude as a personal assistant, and Claude is, when I talk with Claude, it's kind of like talking to my old work buddy Kristen, who we had like a little tiny closet that they threw 2 desks into, and we didn't have to talk. We could just pass discs over to each other, and it was like an extension. Claude truly is an extension when I'm using it as an assistant. Like, I will literally be like, hey, Claude, is this person in the database? Like, nope, but you need to send them this. I'm like, great, I will do that. And because it's that kind of banter, I had an event where I had actors uploading videotapes, and they uploaded these videotapes and they didn't put their name on them. I gave them exact structure. Of course, no one listens. And I literally took a screen capture of this mess. And I was like, Claude, this is a hot mess. Like, this is what I did. This is what I expected. I didn't get that. Claude's response back was, wow, Tamara, what a zoo. Here's what happened. These people, like, the fact that it was like, it used the same kind of humor and language that I use with it, because in that particular case, I'm talking to it all day long as though it were just a companion, a work companion. It handles some tasks. I handle some tasks. I check its tasks. It checks my tasks. It is like, and that's the kind of relationship that I have. So that's one of the things where it's become very obvious to me, even more so, that it is not thinking on its own. It is adapting to my language and giving me the kind of experience that I want to have. So that has the potential of doing exactly what the Google Cloud did, which is completely give us our own experiences, not a unified experience.
Did we lose Paskin again?
Yeah, you can go on, Sky. We're still live on YouTube. No,
Hi there.
Not.
So
no, we're not anymore. Hold on.
Okay.
We're frozen, I think. Oh, no, I guess we're okay. Yeah, go ahead.
We are okay. I'm okay. Are you okay?
I'm okay.
Are you okay?
Okay,
well, we're all okay. So in the being okayness of things, so we've shared that it's my birthday this week. We're interacting with humans. I'm interacting with humans from around the world and in my various areas of my life, the Venn diagrams of theater and video production and Seattle and Los Angeles and New York and now globally in office hours. Well, I'm on a show. The last thing I would have done as a professional would be to leave the stage. I made a choice. My 2 grandchildren were going to bed. I came over to look after them, and consequently, they were looking at me longingly to say goodnight, Papa, and I had to make a choice. I am that comfortable with this community here and with Paskin's communal experience that I felt that I'm not going to lose my professional demeanor by stepping away just to kiss my grandchildren goodnight. So, Troutman, your comment to Tony's what is greater than trust? Well, and listening to Tamara talk about the translation versus the owning of a language, we get to that point where we just think naturally in la table. We don't think what's the name of this in French? What's this is the table and we get to the point of owning it, right? Well, I own that when I told my son when he was a teenager that he will never understand how much I love him until he has his own children. Well, he now has 2 amazing, beautiful children that he lets me communicate and be a part and be in relationship with. So I think in this experience that we're going through very rapidly of what is the machine doing with us and for us, I think choice is that we have to own that for ourselves and not let the automation or the convenience or the economy overrule us. And this is where Lois comes in and really says, well, how do you know that's the right thing? It's like, well, because in my gut, I needed to go kiss my grandchildren goodnight.
I think that nothing works without trust, right? Money doesn't work without trust. The street signs don't work if you don't recognize red as a stop.
Love that example. Communal.
There's no cooperation without trust. Yeah, that's right.
Societal.
But I'm a little dismayed by how much trust has been lost in the USA. We often come up against this between us in these conversations, that I trust my government, my Defense Department, my banking system to be, what it's meant to do. And we're not trusting AI yet. And until we can trust it to, stay in its place and cover third base while we do the rest of the game, I think, we're going to be back and forth on this issue. I also think computers are probably going to, with the agency question, lately they've, Apple calls it intents, that they're getting programmers to put intents into their own software so that when AI comes calling, it can borrow that functionality from that app. So if you had a spreadsheet with intents, your question could be drawn out by either a database, a spreadsheet, or some other data you have, and another app's data or functionality, such as computing power or processing management. And even
define
the heat distribution in your computer.
Define intent. You're giving it the essence of what you hope it will do, not the strength and the anxiety. You're not meaning it's intense. No, you're meaning
as simple as a calculator. The intent of a calculator is to give you the right numerical answer and to calculate it correctly. But if you need a calculator in some other query, it has the intent in the calculator app is to allow software to be borrowed. And this will reintegrate everything inside your computer. As many apps as you have, of which I think I have 150, then they would all be able to talk with the AI and give it things it needs to do to make my life better. Now, we all trust some level of that, but we don't trust it when it goes out of our computer into the cloud. And in that sense, I think, yes, if ChatGPT is on my phone, stays on my phone, uses only information I gave it through my phone, then I'm going to be comfortable and trust it. But if it's going around the world to Ireland to process with data from other countries and other things and sharing some of my information with their information in order to get the right answer, then we got a little problem with Dave.
I just want to jump in real quick, because one of the things that I have, one of the things that I've heard over and over again as the fear, the worry about AI, is this idea of consciousness, that will AI become conscious? And one of the things that Noah Harari talks about is that sort of isn't the point, or that really isn't what's important. At least in his mind, what's important is not whether AI feels or intends. It's that it can function socially without consciousness. It can. It doesn't need a soul to influence a lonely teenager, to move a vote, or to impersonate a teacher, right? It has become, because of its mastery of language, it has become. It's almost one-upped us, because it doesn't need the very thing that makes us human. It doesn't need to still be able to influence and move and shape our culture and our civilization.
Yeah, you've heard me object about people suggesting it can think. We don't even know how we think.
Right.
And the only thing I had against Harari's delivery, and the note I made when I was listening to him, is that he talks about the machine as though it's thinking. Yeah. And then he says, we just string our words together in our thinking. Well, the research I've been reading for the last year is that that's not how our brain works. We actually form the whole thought and then function through the words. And we often pick the wrong word.
Yeah, that was an interesting piece of his. Right.
Yeah.
He made a big...
and there's a tension between,
Yeah.
The perceptive brain and the action brain are constantly in communication, which is actually faster than any of our computers. And it comes up with a decision rather quickly, but then spends the rest of the time trying to get it out of the head.
So his argument was essentially that we criticize AI by saying things like it's just stringing words together. And his argument was that's exactly what we're doing. Is that we don't know. I don't know what the next word out of my mouth is going to be. It's just I'm stringing it together as I go. Now that's different than Dave what you just argued, but that's his argument at least. And so again,
but our brains are way ahead of our mouth. You know, this is the thing. I am living milliseconds behind my head. My perceptions are receiving things. I'm an antenna, apparently. My consciousness is an antenna monitoring everything around me. And then I react to my environment. Well, the sense of knowing what you're doing next is only as soon as the saber-toothed tiger appears, you know what you're going to do next. But you're always a few milliseconds behind it. And you're not getting the signal has been processed long before it came out your mouth.
So you know the parable, the story about if a tree falls in a forest but you don't hear it, does it make a sound? Here's my answer to that question. My answer to that question is who cares? I didn't hear it make a sound, so who cares whether it made a sound? I didn't hear it. I didn't experience it.
There's no argument there. We just don't know.
Right. Yeah. My point is that there is perhaps a truth that my brain is, milliseconds ahead of what I can get out, and therefore it's not random, but it's actually planned, and that may be true on some supernal level. But in my lived reality, I have no idea what's coming out of my mouth next. It just happens. And so in my lived reality, AI has not only caught up to my capacity to engage in language, it has surpassed it.
It's imitating that capacity. It's not doing it.
No, but
it had to stop, construct the whole thing, and then put it out, just like you did. But you do it much faster.
I also think that when I grappled with this, one of the things that I keep thinking about is just internet access, right? We are now 30 years into internet access in the way that we know it, and it still bumps Dave and pulls his entire machine off and pulls us offline. And so AI to me is very interesting because it seems to cognitively be going leaps and bounds over what its actual capacity is. And there's going to come a point where, right now everybody's on AI, but we're not doing anything. Most of us are not using it to its capacity. So as we start using it to a capacity, that actually requires faster computers, more data centers, all of these things that are not exponentially meeting the same timeline as the cognitive abilities of the machines. So there will come a point where then it's going to split off and it's going to be a haves and have-nots, right?
I think it needs more,
people who
Lois.
can afford it that are going to get it and other people aren't. So some of the things that we see with Google, for example, which was the big promise that it was going to be unifying and in fact is not unifying, I think is a cautionary, and how social media was supposed to help us connect with each other and in fact does not help us connect with each other. I think some of those same things are inevitable with AI in its current trajectory.
I think the internet, I think AI needs more Lois Richter.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, Lois, you ask logical, sociological, psychological, pointed questions about value, about morals, about trust, and about community. And that, you were trained in that. You, just like in the language that Tamara was talking about, at some point, she was trained, and now she is training others. And without those things, the machine's going to do the easiest, quickest, fastest, cheapest. And that hasn't always, to your point about politics, isn't turning out too well.
Mm-hmm. But if the bureaucracy could work efficiently, then it would work for us better. Yes.
Lois, we can't hear you.
Oh, she's over there.
I keep pushing that button. I wanted to respond to two things. One is the does a tree make a sound if it falls in the forest?
Well, of course it does.
Define sound, man. If your definition of sound is vibration in the air, of course it does. If your definition of sound is some person hearing the vibrations from the air, well, then that's a different question. But I want to go back to what Troutman said. Do we have enough difference in various AIs? Now, people say AI as though it was monolithic. It's not. There's a lot of different things out there that can be called AI or something else. I'm sure Dave Troutman has better words for it. The difference between the trust of the Canadian government and the trust or not of the current American government, are we going to get an AI that's like one and another AI that's like the other? I mean, are we in a situation where those trainings are going to be so different that the responses from the AI you go to is going to be very different? Dave Troutman, what do you think?
I think I have an answer to that, and that is there'll be personal AI and general AI. The general AI will be trying to do all the solving of medical problems and things that you and I don't pay any attention to. And then there's personal AI that is your helper, your brother-in-law, your digital brother-in-law. So I think that's the split I'm expecting. But I think there's also, I'm ready for Tony. Here comes Tony, because I think, yes, there'll be a divide. There'll be a lateral divide in the society of those who reject it and those who embrace it. So, and it may have factors in terms of monetary income and social discord. But, the holidays in Italy are endless. So you wouldn't think they're a productive country, but virtually everybody gets like 3 months off a year, and they still compete in the world. So something is going on there between people that makes them want to work when they go to work. I have so many people I've had under my supervision that really didn't want to be there. Tony?
Wow. So I want to go back to a couple of things. So, Rabbi David, when you mentioned the whole thing about us not thinking about what we're going to say before we say it, I think that it's really a question of the data that you have been given throughout your life. And so I think that we can make that link to the AI from the standpoint of the data that it has been given will sort of dictate the responses that we get. And who's to say that the data that it continues to grow and enrich itself with, and I'm talking about the AI, who's to say that that could not be, and well, I was going to say equalize in terms of consciousness, but we don't know how we have consciousness. So how can we say that the AI will never have consciousness? And then the other thing that I wanted to say is that, in sort of in line with what Dave said and Tamara, and that there is going to be a divide. There's going to be a divide if there is nothing else than, because of this fabulous continuing to evolving AI, the cost has to go up. The cost is going to have to go up. And there are going to be people who have the resources but don't want to buy into AI. And then you have the people who would love to buy into it or experience it but don't have the resources. So you got a couple of different groups that are going to be out there, and it can't stay the same in terms of what it costs. Because the $20 that I'm paying right now, or that anybody else is paying, is not going to be able to sustain a model that is giving us a genuine conversation. It just can't happen.
And historically, Tony, that's why I have to look back into the Old Testament. There, the haves and the have-nots, where there's always been haves and have. The New Testament, there's the haves and the have-nots. The poor will be with us always. So if that's a statement from a person that you believe or not, it's a statement that, as we talk about, some people trust in. So historically, I don't think we're ever going to achieve as a species, the Star Trek utopian of a life. Now, can we make life better for that one starfish that's in front of us to put it back in the water as that story goes? I would hope that I could help do that, and that's all I can do. But I'm trying to set my aspirations as high as I can, but also looking at the humans as a species are pretty rough on each other.
But the other piece to that, Sky, is that we can go ahead and save the one starfish. The worry is that we'll say, well, I'll let somebody else save the starfish.
Hey, preach it, brother.
Right.
So that's the problem.
Always has been. And that's my anxiety, that as we become complacent in our ease of use, that we don't use this tool to serve humanity, that we just turn it on as a luxury, and then it becomes normal. And that's my anxiety.
I think that's the deeper part of Harari's message, is that we have to rely on each other. Right. And so we got to figure out a new way of getting along with each other and not hiding behind our technology or let somebody else take care of it. And it is a responsibility we have to adapt. Those who don't adapt or change are extinct. So we have to be able to take that responsibility. And I think Tony's right that it's always been there, but we have to strive to eliminate it and just work against it as much as possible. And we've done it well in the past. I mean, the post-war period is not a blip in economics. It's really a drastic change in how the world is structured from before the empire to after the empire.
Well, I've been a part of a couple of different disasters, hurricanes, tornadoes, and the best of humanity always showed up in the worst of circumstances.
When everyone's in it together. Yes.
Yep.
When everyone's in it together.
Always. Yeah.
And so we are that could be a benediction right there, Paskin. Okay, sevenfold amen.
I love the curiosity phase that we're in right now, though, because it does remind me of when we first did, when HTML became a thing, the conversations and richness of what people were having and hopeful of what like Web 1.0, which then became super flat because it was hampered by economics. And it was not anything like the conversations that were happening before it. And so I think that's one of the things that I kind of fear, is that we're having it like every day. It just seems like something new and exciting and lots of different ways to do it. And it's like, that's what's made it exciting for me. I'm a curious person. I love pushing things into new directions and seeing what it will do and creating new things. What I'm afraid is that it'll get to a point where it's like economics and mass media, mass use of it will flatten it into being, here's what AI is. It's like Web 1.0. You download a page and it just pops in front of you. And it wasn't until we got, more video, and YouTube that it changed drastically into some of the same conversations people were having before, when they were like, well, there's no bandwidth. There's none of this.
Well,
so that's the piece that I think is the part of humanity that is worth investing in, is curiosity and excitement, keeping that excitement and trial and error is equal to success.
And we have gotten all of us being excited about something, though it may not be the same something. And Tamara got discouraged when HTML made web pages. I got excited about that because I wasn't looking at the medium so much as I was looking at what was being said. as the
There you
content,
go.
as the people who were able to have a presence. Even if it was a small presence and not a lot of folks were going there, they still had their window and they had their stuff in their window and people could find it. And that's, you know, I know
And-
that's
and Pat-
off topic, but you know, that's what we're all about, humans.
Not at all. Paskin, that's where I think I'd love to vote in that we individually bring our individual unique gifts, skills, talents to a unified passion, something that we could solve a problem. Because holy crap, if we put our mind to something, not just as a hobby, but as a betterment of a thing, the resources that this community has so supersede the ability to push a button or ability to learn a new skill. And that's the aspirational vision that I had always hoped and believed that office hours could be. But again, I come from communal, we're going to go save the world together experiences. So
I think it happens.
That's me.
I think what you're describing does happen. It just happens on a micro level. It happens on a one-to-one level rather than a one-to-many level.
Or just a local level.
On a local level, yeah. I do have some breaking news. OpenAI is shutting down OpenAI Atlas or ChatGPT Atlas. If you don't know what that is, I was the only person
It's a
using
tree
David's
falling in the
favorite
forest for
Yes,
me.
I was the only person using it. It was the OpenAI browser. They announced today at 3:00, and I missed it somehow, that they are shutting it down. So I am on the hunt again for my next browser. If any of you have suggestions,
What, David, you're not going to write a code to have your own browser? I mean, you could just make your own.
I could.
Mosaic. I think you should use Mosaic.
Mosaic.
Yeah.
All those little bits of tiles and all the thin set concrete.
Before
all that
we
stuff.
jump away,
Mosaic
I'm not sure that's an exact.
Before we
Losing our
solve
minds.
David's
Go ahead, Dave.
browser problem, I thought, for me, Mr. Herrera's message was rooted in like tradition, cooperation, multi-family structure, ceremony, festivals, celebrations of human achievement, and common beliefs.
Kinship.
Kinship is, well, that's, family, kinship. Yeah. I think, if we can reclaim those things.
There you go.
And make them part of the discussion almost every day in our own lives, the meme will grow, and it'll be trust and community and cooperation will suddenly matter again, and we will not let the bullies tell us that doing bad things is okay. So
there we go. There you have it. I apologize for the crash earlier.
For the
let's blame
machines,
it on-
do not apologize for the machines.
Yeah, let's blame it on OpenAI. We'll just blame it on AI. But thank you all for sticking with us. And
Gemini. Blame it on Gemini.
But we've been using Gemini. We'll blame it on Gemini. Sure. We'll blame it on Meta AI. How's that? There's much more to talk about in this topic, and I'm glad that all of you were here to talk about it with us to begin the conversation today. Tomorrow morning is another episode of Office Hours, your questions and your answers. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll be in the Zoom test kitchen, and then we start all over next week. So here's hoping you all have a fantastic weekend. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon on The Rundown. Bye.